Good evening, everyone. This is Mike O'Malley here with the Hurricane Outlook and discussion for September 26, 2019, recorded around 7:30 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. We are down to two tropical systems here in the Atlantic, Karen and Lorenzo. We will first start off with Tropical Storm Karen, which has maximum sustained winds of 45 miles per hour, moving off towards the north-northeast at about 12 miles per hour here. Something interesting that's kind of been going on for really since last night has been this sustained deep convection near the center, or semi-permanent near the center. We've had this kind of convection that really started as a convective burst last night, and we were very unsure and very pessimistic as to if this would actually sustain itself, and it has. And even over the last couple of hours, it seems to have something almost like a little bit of a central dense overcast. If we take a look here at the Dvorak loop here, we can sort of see what may be some sort of irregular central dense overcast across this region. Maybe the center somewhere roughly in this region. Is kind of a little bit hard to determine exactly where the center is. The earlier recon pass did suggest that maybe the center was a little bit off towards the eastern side of this deeper convection. But it is entirely possible that the center may have already reformed in this deeper convection. That is a possibility, and we won't have another recon going in, I believe, until tomorrow. So really, we're kind of going to be left in the dark in terms of actual, really any good data from being near the storm from any recon planes. But regardless, here you can see on the zoomed out true color. This is from tropicaltidbits.com. You can certainly see that we have this outflow off to the south, but you notice the relative small size here of Karen, but also note that there's really no outflow being extended off towards the north here, and there is still some northwesterly shear that's being impinged on the system, kind of putting any brakes on the outflow trying to expand. That has kept Karen mainly in check here over the past couple of days, but you can certainly see that we've had this deeper convection that's kind of just been riding the storm over the last couple of hours. We've had a deeper convection sort of riding off towards the north here, off towards the north and east, maybe expanding a little bit here on the eastern side. But for the main part of this, you can certainly see, though, we have a relative sharp transition layer in here, and that does go to say that there is still some shear kind of being impinged on the system, as that you really don't want to have that tight of a gradient for a tropical system. You would like to have a nice expanded out gradient, and as such we can kind of take a look at Hurricane Lorenzo, and you can see that gradient is much larger. Of course, this is a Category 4 compared to a tropical storm. But certainly there is still some shear being impacting the system at this time. You can see the attempts of outflow, but really nothing able to get well established here. We've had some of the convection actually waning on this side as well, with pretty sustained deep convection of at least negative 80 degrees Celsius around this region. So that should help to lower the pressures and overall cause some strengthening in the winds. We'll have to see with the 0Z model guidance on what they exactly put this at for the best track data. So that is going to be one thing we're watching. Of course, Tropical Storm Karen has sustained winds of 45 miles per hour, so 40 knots, and some strengthening is possible over the next coming hours, about 12 to 24 hours according to some of the models. The other models do continue to weaken the system and bring it to the end of its lifespan here, really within 84 hours or so. So that's going to be interesting to watch. Currently, the official forecast has becoming a tropical, post-tropical depression really as soon as Saturday or Sunday, as it backs off towards the west. So really not expecting much in the way of intensification, but I will tell you this, though: if this look does continue to appear and we can get a little bit more vertically stacked with the mid-level and low-level centers, there is a chance that this might try to fight off some of the shear and dry air that's in this region. You notice there is a lot of dry air off in this region, mainly from the upper level trough, the same upper level trough that helped to weaken Jerry is kind of bringing some drier air into this region, so certainly something to kind of keep an eye on. But if Karen is able to kind of fight this area off, this might have a better chance of surviving out in this region over here. So there is still a lot of time to sort of watch this thing. It has a short window right now to sort of do so, but if this really fails to do so and vertically stack and align within probably the next 12 hours, this thing is basically going to have a very, very, very rough time making anything of itself across this area, which is obviously good news for any land masses across this region. But for the most part, again, it is peak of hurricane season. Pretty much you still need to be watching, of course, if you're anywhere across this area, as it is that time of year where you can still get hurricane impacts, even if it's not from Karen at this point in time. So a lot to watch there with that. We also have Hurricane Lorenzo, which is a 140 mile per hour Category 4 hurricane, expected to remain a major hurricane through about Sunday, and then we start to gradually weaken here as it moves off towards the north and east. Could impact the Azores by later next week. That is going to be something we'll have to keep in a close eye on for them. But for the main part, this should not be a threat to land here over the next 5 days. Might get close to the Azores or pass over the Azores on probably maybe Thursday or so. But for the time being, no significant impacts for that area expected. Take a look here at the eye presentation. They certainly have a nice eye. We do have a little bit of shear that you can sort of see on this side of the system right here, sort of off towards the west and northwest from the eye here. Of course, that's the eye right there. This is moving off towards, basically towards the north here, and that will continue its motion off towards basically the northwest here of the coming days, then eventually turn northward sooner rather than later. So a lot to watch here over the coming days. Again, our main focus right now is going to be Karen. For the time being right now, this is a very weak, disorganized system, but we are continuing to closely monitor the trends on that. And also we are watching for our friends here in the Azores on Hurricane Lorenzo, which is expected to come pretty close to that region by later next week, so a lot to watch with that. Hope you all have a great rest of your evening, and I will be back tomorrow afternoon with another video discussion.